Before moving house to Tinault, if you asked me 10 years or so ago where I camped most, it would most certainly have been at the Rue de Bar in Loch Sunart. This year, since I moved to Tinault, my choice has moved to Loch Droma Buidhe, off Loch Sunart. I stayed there a total of 14 nights during the summer. This is because it's perfectly placed for stopovers on the road to the Isles. It's a sheltered place for camping, and it's also a relatively sheltered route to get there, which is why it's been so popular with me. I generally meet up with Jeff at least once a year when he manages to get to Scotland, and this year it was during a wet and windy spell in July, so where better to go for a trip than Loch Droma Buidhe and lovely Loch Sunart. Jeff enjoys his XL 420 Vanguard powered by a 25 horsepower Suzuki 4-stroke, while I have my trusty 420 Quicksilver aluminium hull powered by a 25 horsepower Mariner 2-stroke. Performance-wise, I don't think there's much difference in these two outfits. Perhaps I get a slightly higher top speed, but Jeff's 4-stroke uses half the fuel my thirsty 2-stroke uses, and it's also half the noise level. Our adventure started at Kelly's Pier in Loch Sunart, and although the forecast was for heavy rain, we were delighted to find it was dry with light winds, although it was very overcast. We did enjoy a brief bright spell while approaching the Connell Bridge, but rain wouldn't bother us too much as we were both wearing our dry suits. The main thing was there was hardly a breath of wind as we skimmed out into the Firth of Lorn. It was that calm, but even the tide race that runs around Lismore Lighthouse was a non-event. To the south we could see thunderous-looking clouds gathering. As we were in no hurry, we landed on a stony beach to the south of Morven, near the entrance to the Sound of Mull. We had a coffee and a blether while soaking in the soggy-looking scenery. Refreshed, we then headed round Ruba and Riddier before continuing up the Sound of Mull as the clouds collected in the hills. We managed to stay one step ahead of the rain, well, until we reached Allison Point, and then the heavens opened. I can't remember such torrential rain. It even cut our visibility down to around 50 yards, Obviously I had to stop filming. Fortunately, it stopped long enough to let us get our tents up in the dry. The normally small burn we camped by was now a raging torrent. It did dry up a little in the evening to allow us to cook our dinners outside, but it was also an early to bed night and watching movies on our mobile phones. Before falling asleep, I caught a glimpse of a large eagle watching us, and judging by its long tail feathers and not so broad wings, I guess it was a golden eagle rather than the normal white-tailed variety. Not long after that, I was sound asleep, and day one was done. Not surprisingly, we awoke to a completely different day. The sun was warm and shining, the midges were biting, and we were glad to see the back of them, as we left our tents behind to explore lovely Loch Sunart. There are no external pressures of rush hour traffic, noisy police car sirens, queues for busy buses and trains. Only the whine of my two-stroke breaks the silence of a newborn day, as we happily go on our way. We were heading for the shallow, narrow channels around the islands of Elan na Neilden and Elan na Gabber behind Carna at the entrance of Loch Sunart, and try saying that lot after a can or three of Guinness. It truly is a stunning area for an early morning cruise. I stopped to refill the main fuel tank from my 20-litre canister. It's very easy to do when using a jiggle siphon, assuming you don't smoke, that is. During the fuel transfer, I also paused to listen to nature's noises, a pleasing sound to my aging ears. Jeff waited patiently as I refilled the boat, then suggested we head to the cafe at Salon to refill our stomachs, which is what we did. And before we could say seashells on the seashore, we were sat in Salon, stuffing our faces with bacon rolls and coffee, while happily swapping tales about boaty things. which is all part of having a great adventure and good company. And soon it was time to be on our way again, heading for the far end of Loch Sunart. When we arrived at the public's flipway to the east of Strontian, which is at the far end of Loch Sunart, we had nothing else to do but start back down the loch again. And it was at this point a terrible thirst made my throat incredibly dry. I suspect it was from the salty bacon rolls we scoffed an hour or so earlier. I had no fresh water at hand, so did what any normal person would do. I opened a tin of black gravy. Jeff, who was running beside me, shouted across, "You're starting very early today, Donny." I looked a little puzzled before replying, "No, Jeff, I'm actually very late. This can should have been finished last night, except I'd left it in the boat." I had that much of a thirst that was gone in 30 seconds. And like Alice's white rabbit in Wonderland, my head span around in a circle. Then everything became incredibly calm and peaceful in this lovely scenic loch. Well, perhaps Jeff didn't agree, it seemed to avoid my happy mood, until I settled into straight line again. And one thing's for sure, we both really enjoyed our trip going down the loch on such a calm and warm sunny day. It's what adventures and company are all about. It was a fantastic day in the water and was totally out of step with the weather forecast, which had indicated overcast and heavy showers for both days. Back at camp, the sun was now well above the yard arm, so I enjoyed another few cans of gravy before falling asleep, and this time I drank them all in time. The following day was overcast, so we headed back down the Sound of Mull towards Tinault. And before we knew it, we were back in Loch Sunart and another adventure was done. I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.